Hi everyone, my name's James Ivey.
I am Paul Drew.
From the Studio Rats.
Oh, yes.
Now, Mr. Drew at this point is a little bit kind of, what are we doing?
Getting a bit tired. I've been up since 5, so I'm getting a bit tired.
Bless.
Yeah.
This week, I have been recording mostly guitars.
English joke, but yes.
Indeed. For those of you who didn't watch the Fast Show, it's available on YouTube. And a few things really sort of came to mind that I thought would make a good video.
Go on.
So this is a video in 3 parts. One, in a multi-cabinet...
One? What the hell have you done to that cabinet?
Well, it's a funny story. I was making a said video, and I thought the only way to do it is to get the grill off so we could see the cones.
You've definitely done that.
Yes. So this is now my ode to Lemmy.
That's...
Anyway, I wanted to be able to see the cone and where I was putting microphones. And this is what the first part of today's video is about. I want to talk about the difference between what you think of as a 4x12 cabinet, but it's actually 4 very different sounding speakers in one enclosure.
Well, technically they shouldn't be, but
they always are.
Yeah, due to tolerances, and I don't know what it is. Why is that? Why is it always, when you open up a 4x12 and you put mics about, they do all sound very different?
They do. And on this one, they really, really do.
Okay, what's your favourite speaker on this cab?
This one.
Right.
And funnily enough, it's always top right for me on the 4x12. I don't know what it is. It might be to do with the order in which they're wired, because they're wired in series.
Okay. This isn't, by the way, this is not to do with how it sounds in a room. This is just how it sounds with the microphone up against it.
Yeah.
If you get a microphone in exactly the same position, 9 times out of 10, all those speakers will sound very different.
Well, so this is the first part of the video. I want you to hear how different each of these 12-inch speakers, theoretically the same GT75s,
yeah,
how different they all sound.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is Mr. Drew
hello
is going to play some guitar.
Yeah.
We've got a high gain sound, or sort of Super Marshall-esque sort of sound on the Laney, and I'm going to move this SM57, as in the guitar, the microphone that probably 99% of the world would use on a speaker cabinet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it in roughly the same sort of place, and my kind of starting point is pretty much on the join between the dust cap and the cone.
Exactly right.
Bang in the middle,
Yeah.
about there, about the edge of the cabinet. So where the grill cloth would have been.
I wish you'd left it on.
Yeah, but it was so much harder to see. Even doing the whole torch thing and stuff.
James. You've got to realise, aesthetics before function.
No. No, function over form.
No.
Right. So we're gonna each one I'm gonna go about there,
Okay.
which is so about here in actual terms. We'll go round, we'll go ba 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 ba. And
Do you want me to continue playing or stop as a stop? But
stop for each one. Actually,
Okay.
yeah, stop for each one.
Yeah.
Because then we'll come on to part 2. Don't worry, I'll explain part 2 in part 2.
Okay.
Right.
So
Ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to set this one up.
So you want to play the same thing on
Exactly the same
with
thing.
each speaker.
We're not going to touch anything else. All we're going to do is move the microphone.
Okay. I'll play something nice and simple. Here we go. Right. Okay.
Right. Now, you will be shocked at how different they all sound. Now, again, depending on musical style you're working on, the track, whatever, for me it's between these two. This one's quite dark.
Yeah.
This one's quite classically Marshall, I would say. This one's quite bright. These two are both scooped. Very, very scooped.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Because I would have said classically Marshall would be bright.
Darky Marshall, I think, is probably closer.
Okay.
So, depending on which one is your favourite, again, this is entirely open to interpretation. But, as we've said, my starting point, and as it turns out, Paul's as well, is pointing pretty much at the joint between the cone and the dust cap. Now, the next part of the video, I'm going to start with the microphone right at the very edge.
Yep.
And I'm going to slowly walk the mic effectively across the middle of the cone.
Loads of fun.
And you'll go, holy you know what, mic position on speakers
Makes all the difference.
makes a difference.
So, same riff again?
Same riff again.
Okay.
Let me just get this sort of position where I can kind of move it fairly easily. So we're going to start in the middle, about
Nice.
there.
Yeah. And how are you going to move this?
I'm going to, with the good old-fashioned arms. So let me just make sure I can move it. Yeah, I can move it fairly easily. Right, I'm going to
okay.
start there.
You ready?
We're now we're pretty much on the edge of the woodwork, on the gasket, if you like, and then we'll go across the middle. What I'm hoping you'll hear is loads and loads of bass, nice guitar tone around here somewhere.
Horrible guitar
Horrible,
tone.
honky, nasty, all top, no nothing there. Nice, and it'll go, say, the other way.
Yep.
That's what I'm assuming, but we all know what happens with assumptions, don't we?
Absolutely.
Ready?
Yeah,
Go.
ready? Nice sounding cab, that.
It's a great sounding cab, considering, again, it was an auction find and who knew
Yeah.
how it could sound.
Good.
Now, again, that's quite an interesting thing, I think. Again, there's no right and wrong to this. There's what works for you. There's what works in the context of your mix or your track. How often do you see on live stages tape lines
Oh, yeah. all the
around
time, yeah.
where, you know, the prime spot for the mic?
I do it all the time. On my cabs, it's always just, once you find that position, you stick it in that position. That is a position. It's like everywhere else is
Yeah.
a no.
It's a bit like IRs. You can mess around with IRs all you like, but when you find one you like, you tend to stick to it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that.
So, we know that the four speakers sound different.
Yep.
We now know that the position sounds different. But of course, there is another variable. The type of microphone.
Right.
So we've been using the ubiquitous Shure SM57, a dynamic mic. I have two more here. I have probably the most famous condenser microphone you'll ever find for use on guitars, which is a AKG C414 or 414, depending on where you're from. And we have, thanks to our friends at Sontronics, a Sontronics Delta 2 ribbon mic. Now, I know you like this because you've been using it for donkeys.
Yeah, there's a reason why I like this particular ribbon, because it's not as dark as normal ribbons. You can sort of get, basically with that, to me, it sort of sounds like in between of a ribbon and something like a 57, which is a classic sort of combination.
Yep. We also know the guys from TPS like this because they've been using it for donkeys as well.
Are they still using it anyway?
I'm not sure if they still are, but they were, and
Yep.
they've said nice things in the past. I really like this. It looks like a Remington shaver, which is always good.
It does.
So what I'm going to do is, for this final part of the video, we're going to, again, there's a certain amount of guesswork going on. We're not able to monitor on cans or anything like that. We're not bothering because, quite frankly, I know it's just going to work. The important thing when you are multi-micing a cabinet is to sort out the phase to make sure the signal is hitting all the mics at the same time. And effectively, you're adding to the signal, you're not detracting from the signal. And that's the general trick. If you find when you mute the mic, it's getting louder rather than getting quieter when you put, rather than getting louder when you put it in, you're out of phase, is a general trick. So the signal should be getting louder rather than quieter the more mics you add.
It's funny, I keep trying to speak, and every time I try and speak, he talks. So, think of a waveform, like that. So when things are in phase, basically it's following the same waveform. If something's out of phase, it's basically doing, it's almost like rubbing your...
They're cancelling out.
They're cancelling themselves out. So what we want to try and do with this is to get both in line with each other.
In fact, all three, because we're that brave.
There.
So we're going to then play with, and I'll do a rough mix inside Pro Tools as we go through, the blend between the dynamic, the condenser, and the ribbon. And hopefully, again, it might not work for you, it might not work in the context of this track, but it's something to work towards and just to give you some ideas of how to record and stuff.
Absolutely.
So once again, we're going to have the same gorgeous riff. I'm going to put these roughly in the right place.
Can I change the riff?
Can if you want.
Let's do that. I'm a bit
Right,
bored of it.
let's try it. Here we go. I zipped off camera there just to check on the headphones, the mix between the three, and they are pretty much in phase, which is great. They're additive rather than reductive. Some more good words for a video on a Wednesday.
It's a big word.
It's a big rock noise. You know, when you hear of legendary producers who put 3 or 4 mics on a cab, and you think, why would you bother? That's why you bother.
Absolutely.
Because the sound of a dynamic mixed with a condenser and a ribbon is, of course, bigger, fatter, stronger. You get the darkness from the ribbon, you get the brightness from the condenser, and you get the kind of the body and the nasal kind of aggression from the dynamic. I think it worked. In my ears, at least, monitoring on headphones, it sounded really good.
Well, I think as well, if you've got 3 mics like that, especially if you record in the way where you're physically recording 3 mics as opposed to summing everything together and then recording a pass of that one combined sound. I think the great way of doing that is at in certain points of the track you can take in and out certain microphones and get different sounds, and it really does add.
And spreading them in the stereo field makes a massive difference as well. So for a rhythm track, you might want to have them hard left, hard right, centre. For that solo, bring them together, bring it forward. That could work really well as well.
Should we just do a little bit as well with that's not overly distorted for people that just want to hear it a bit more clean? And then you can basically blend in and out the mic.
Try that.
Be possible?
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Lovely.
Lovely.
So there you go, something a little bit different, something for you to try on your next guitar recordings. We appreciate that not everyone out there is recording stuff, but you know, home recording is a real thing now. You don't have to have gazillions of pounds in order to make cool tracks at home. Everyone's got, you know, a laptop and an interface now and they're recording guitars, and why just use, there's nothing wrong with aux boxes and load boxes, but you can have some fun with real mics in front of real cabs.
Absolutely. I think the major lesson from this video is if you've got a Marshall cab, don't take off the grill cloth.
So really hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the normal stuff. But for now, my name's James Ivey.
Hi, Paul Drew.
From the Studio Rats, and we will see you next time.
You banged your hands. Do you want to try that again?
No, I think that's funny.